welcome to my tutorial for making your Scarlet or Hara bodice. In this tutorial we'll try and show you a brief guide of how we made our top. First of all, you'll need, well, this is the best pattern I could find, McCall's M5426, and what we found is we had to alter that line there and bring it up a bit higher, and we had to bring this seam in towards the centre a bit more. And my advice, having somebody help you do a mock-up to make sure it fits you properly. But as I say, this is the best one I could find at the time. Okay, I've laid out the two pieces from the front that are going to be used for the outside of the fabric, and I've penciled in reference marks up the side that go all the way to the top, and reference marks in the middle and then down the other side, because I want this lace to be absolutely level. So what we've started doing here is pinning the lace on. I've just left a bit of a gap between the two fronts. I want it to be like this so I know that both sides are exactly the same. Okay, we've now laid on the lace on the front sections of the bodice, and we're now cutting right up the middle. So now our lace is laid perfectly in a straight line all along. We now have our two separated pieces. Okay, this is our back section for the bodice, and again we've done the same and marked out where the lace is going. Marked it out straight all the way along. We've gone a bit further than my waist, a bit further than it needs to be, because don't forget you'll need to turn it under and neaten it up later. I forgot to mention at the beginning that the stuff that we're using for our bodice and our ruffle skirt is a soft finish cotton organdy, which has come all the way from India, and it comes already pre-starched and you have to wash it about twice. I ordered 19 yards, so hopefully that'll be enough. We've done all our measurements. That's what I've been using for my outer layer. I'll be using it for the sleeves as well. Okay, we have previously done a couple of mock-ups of this to get our pattern pieces right. Basically what you saw earlier was us pinning the lace on. This is the back. I've now sewn properly on the machine all the way along the top of each one, and then I've sewn along the bottom of each one so this doesn't come too loose, and that goes all the way to the bottom. And we just temporarily, as said, put our pieces in just to double check and get a last minute look at it on me. And then we've also tried to get a quick look at what the front might be like when it's finished. And again, I've sewn on all my lace, the top and bottom on each one, so it's nice and flat and straight. And then we've turned this inwards. As you can see, you can just see the second layer underneath there from the fold on the fabric there. So she was just marking the centre line on me to make sure everything matches up. And what I'm going to do next is where I've pinned here, this is the shoulder seam. I'm just going to take this to the machine and sew all the way across the top there on the shoulders and on the other side as well. And then over here we previously did this already. It's done exactly the same way, except you might want to refer to my other videos as well, because this is what we tend to do on most when we do our linings. I've got like a very soft white cotton lawn fabric with some very lightweight sewing stiffener, and as before you get all your pieces separately first and you tack your stiffener onto each piece. See, that's my tacking line where it's just holding the stiffener down to your fabric so it won't move. Then after you've placed your stiffener on each piece and tacked it down, you then put all your pieces together. So say this is the lining with the stiffener, so you've got your, so your lining should be on the outside where you can see the seam. Your seam should be on the inside with your stiffener facing up this way, like so. And that's what we've basically done on that for now. So that's, as I say, that's our lining. What I'm going to do after I've just finished sewing up my shoulder seams on the outer layer with the lace is I'm going to sew on this lining piece. I'm going to sew down the back seam there, sew it properly on the machine, and the same on the other side. I'm not going to sew the side seams up. So that one, this one here next to the back, that won't be sewn just yet. It's going to be left just tacked and open. And then, sorry guys, just shifting that around to the front there. Then you've got your front piece here. There you go. Sorry guys, it just doesn't want to behave itself because it's so stiff. But this is your front, and this is your side front, and I'll be sewing again all the way down this seam, not that one, but you'll see later. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is to do the ruffle lace frill that goes down both sides of the front of the bodice and both sides down the back. The way we've gone about it is I've cut out this really long strip measuring 1m60 long, and it's 7 centimetres wide from top to bottom, so 7 from there to there, and I've cut 2 of these exactly the same measurements, and we've gone along the top and neatened that edge and overlocked it with our overlocking machine, and done that all the way just along the one edge, and the same for the second piece as well. Next thing I'm going to do is going to get my lace, and this edge here underneath is the overlocked bit. That on the left is the non-overlocked bit. And then I'm going to be pinning my lace on the edge, and then I've got to sew this lace straight on to that strip, as straight and as tight as possible, so there's no bunching, so it looks nice and neat, and that's going directly on that edge, just covering the overlocked edge. And you'll do that for both pieces till you reach the end of both strips, and I'll show you in a minute what it looks like. And I forgot to mention that I actually bought 75 metres of this lace, and I had ground onto cardboard strips there. That's just half, the 50 metres there, and then they put the other 25 metres on a separate thing, which was a bit annoying, but there should be no problem. I can always join one section onto the next if I need to, but it's going to be used on the skirt as well later, so I have to tell you, lace is not cheap, and I had to save a little bit harder for this, because realising that if I wanted some really nice lace it was going to cost a lot of money. So I managed to find this online. It was 29 English pence per metre, and it worked out at £27 for the whole 75 metres. That includes the postage. So if I'd have got some nicer quality lace, I'm not saying this isn't nice, it's lovely, but if you want a really, really nice lace, you're probably looking at about £2 plus a metre. So the lace will probably end up costing you about £150 or something silly. Anyway, I should be back in a moment. Okay, now have my 2 strips of fabric as shown earlier, with my lace has now been sewn onto the edge of each strip. So, the next thing to do with your 2 strips of fabric is to run a gathering stitch all the way along the top, like so. Then the same with the other piece, and then we've got to very slightly gather our strips of fabric. Right, next thing to do is open out your bodice. We've taken the side seams off, so we've got the back there where my hand is, one front there where that's the shoulder join, the other one is over here. Then we find our halfway point on our strip of fabric. Okay, we're now attaching the piece of lace like so over top there. Make sure the seam under that shoulder seam is flat, so your flaps are open out underneath, nice and flat. We're just going to pin that in place. Okay, also make sure this is the underside facing up at the moment, so when you turn it the right way you'll have your lace showing up the right way. Okay, we're pulling from where you can see right now in the video up some of the thread from the gathering. And right now Mum is just running smoothly on her fingers that gathers, just very slightly, a bit at a time. And just putting some pins in place to hold it as you go for now. Once we've done that, as you can see, it's just on that bit from there to your shoulder seam. She's going to do exactly the same on the other side. Take a piece of the gathering thread about halfway in and pull up some more ruffles the other side. Okay, we've now tacked along from there to there, just where we did those ruffles, those little gathers, and we've taken all the pins out, and we're now just going to sew properly on the machine all the way along so that they're held in place properly.
Just to there.
Yeah, there to there.
Okay, I've now sewn the top frill to the sleeve opening, and I've stopped at this point because I want to now turn the fabric and go down the front seam. I'm going to do 2 things while I'm going down the front seam. One is that I'm going to reduce the width of the fabric that I see, and 2 is I'm going to put an occasional gather in down the front.
Right, okay, just a very quick and brief show of what it now looks like after we've sewn that ruffle in, the lace on the side. And this is what you have to do. You have to leave quite a lot of fabric near the top, and as you're going down towards the waist of the bodice, your fabric gets less and less. So by the time you're near the bottom where your waist is, you already have a tiny bit of fabric showing. It was a little bit tricky to do, as you saw earlier, but if you just gather it in gently, you should get a nice distribution going up and over the shoulder and then round to the other side. Like so, this is going round onto the back. Again, you've got to make sure that your distance is getting less and less, and that it looks more or less the same both sides. And that's that for that part.